2001, strange symbols appeared in the fields near the English village of Chilbolton. Images of a humanoid with an unusually large head and curves, in which at first glance spirals are recognized. Like DNA spirals, the scientists who found the patterns understood at once. This is the answer, alien mind, to Carl Sagan's message. In 1974, a well-known American astrophysicist sent illustrations to the star M79, found 50 light-years from our planet, depicting a person and their DNA. Here, from space, the answer is here. However, after looking at the alien's message, scientists found it to be strange. If the spiral DNA is indeed depicted on the left in the picture, then the image on the right remains unclear, and to decipher it, our Earth can. A top scientist, geneticist, Petr Petrovich Garyaev. He studied the drawing and he understood what wanted to communicate to others. Alien mind. The message was very simple. The aliens hinted to the Earthlings that they went down the wrong path in their genetic experiments, ways of harshly interfering with the cell and the production of genetically altered organisms. The message from space confirmed the results of Gariaev himself. Human DNA isn't just a protein combination. And if we find the right approach to this molecule, humanity will be able not only to get cancer and diseases, but also to defeat death itself. In today's video, I want to discuss with you the remarkable discoveries of Peter Garyaev, the actual nature of DNA, and about how individuals like us can live for more than 300 years without diseases or aging. And if you are ready, we just need a little time to traditionally select commentators from the previous video who will each receive 10,000 rubles. We just began this new tradition. Thank you for your honest comments, good or bad, it doesn't matter, just honest, and for writing them. I will check the comments under our latest video, and we will choose 3 people, as is tradition, who will each get 10,000 rubles. Yana, I'm amazed by your lecture. It's well structured, methodical, and the pace is clear and easy to follow. Bravo. This channel should have been launched long ago to promote this info. I'm here from Volgograd. Nina. Nina Smolina, please connect with us and we will send you 10,000 rubles as a thank you for being with us. You are more than just listeners, viewers, subscribers, and you are, along with us, part of our team, part of our mission. Help us share it further. Now, what is the professional format? Thank you, Yana, for your hard work and your incredible dedication. Please reach out. I will look for a negative comment on purpose. Hypothetically, please tell me how this information could benefit anyone. Screenshot? Sweetheart? Of course. Contact us so we can send you 10,000 rubles. So please, at the end of the video, share your honest thoughts. They are very important to us. We review your comments, and based on them, we select topics for upcoming videos. You are actively participating with us in creating documentaries. We consider your opinion. Your feedback helps us gain more insights, and you inspire us. You are genuinely part of our team, and naturally, from the comments you leave today, I will choose one of you in the next video to send 10,000 rubles. Okay, let's go on. Today, I want to talk about a topic that once transformed my entire world. You are watching Secret Materials. I'm Jana Eidelstein. I was anxiously waiting for this video because a few years back, it all started here. This initiated my deep dive into science. Also, these discoveries I want to talk about today captivated me so deeply. About what the human body is, how it can be influenced, and what our genome is. As a typical person who was always away from science and medicine, I never cared about it. I started studying the brain simply because I wanted to learn how to influence it, not because I was genuinely interested in what is within our bodies. However, when I understood that inside us lie all the keys to achieving any of our human goals, that's when you understand that you hold, an extraordinary key to everything. I genuinely hope that today's video will positively impact your life, just as mine did once. So, Canada, 2001. A team of veterinarians is experimenting on a group of lab rats. They deliberately feed them a powerful toxin that fully destroys their pancreas. The rats were doomed, which is understandable. They were dying. A week later, the scientists check the rats and conclude they are entirely healthy, that they not only lived, even though they were dying, they show no signs of health problems, not even a sign. Such a phenomenon in science is referred to as a precedent. What is seen as impossible can occur. And the one behind this miracle is our known Peter Garyaev. Garyaev and his laboratory assistants managed not just to heal these rats. The way is crucial. Just think about it. From 20 kilometers away, they conveyed signals to the organisms of the test subjects, causing them to regenerate a lost organ. In other words, organ regeneration happened, which is deemed impossible. Naturally, no one trusted Garyaev at first, but he succeeded in repeating the experiment 4 more times in a row, demonstrating that the first result was not a fluke. After 4 times, it became a trend. That's when Garyaev got his first strike from unknown adversaries. Keep this moment in mind. We will need it later. So, the head of the laboratory where the experiment was conducted suddenly and urgently flew to New York right after receiving the final data. And the next day, Garyaev was told to leave the American continent permanently, along with his experiments. It seems someone was very intent on keeping the scientists' discoveries from society. Nonetheless, Garyaev didn't back down and repeated his experiment on remote healing of animals again, and this time in Nizhny Novgorod. This even led the most skeptical skeptics to believe that Garyaev's theory is much more than a mere theory. Now, what is its essence? Thus, one time, as a graduate student at the Molecular Biology and Biophysics Department of Moscow State University, Garyaev, looking at the genetic code table, observed that within traditional biology, a living organism structured like this DNA cannot thrive. It's all about the genes called ammonym. What are ammonym genes? Philologists use this term for words that are spelled the same but have different meanings. A simple example is the word bow. It can mean both a vegetable and a weapon. Key signifies either an item for unlocking a lock or a source that springs from the earth. Similar ammonym words are found in DNA. They are encoded by an identical sequence of chromosomes, but they fulfill different roles. For example, they are responsible for synthesizing 2 different amino acids, or conversely, stopping protein production. Moreover, a single error in their function could lead to total breakdown and the organism's death. In conversation, we infer the meaning of ammonym words from context. It's evident that if shots are fired, it's not about green onions. But how does a molecule decide which of its 2 functions to utilize? And Garyaev set out to find the answer to this riddle, and he found it. Still, he looked so peculiar that not all scientists could accept him, including Garyaev himself at the beginning. As the scientist learned, our genetic code is an intelligent system. Indeed. Otherwise, the problems of ammonym words could not be explained. Thus, a science was born that its creator named wave or quantum genetics. This science is built on the findings of quantum physics, which assert that every particle, whether it's a proton, neutron, positron, or another piece of an atom, is both a form of matter and an energy wave. Wave genetics is grounded in the words of academician Likhachev, who mentioned that there was a mistake in translating the first lines of the Bible. And in the beginning, it was not the word, but the thought. The thought materialized in a wave and became the word. a wave structure, carrying images and meaning, just like our word manifested in a wave of thought that conveys images and meaning. Thus, this triggered the life program for all living beings. DNA components, similar to all other particles in the quantum world, emit light and sound. This means they are also waves and part of the absolute singular program. Garyaev's findings also shed light on another DNA mystery. At the century's start, scientists spent billions on the full decoding of human DNA. They discovered gene combinations that determine hair color and growth, the shaping of bones and muscles in other organs. Still, these genes, it turns out, make up only 2% of the human genetic code. What about the remaining 98? Traditional science, without hesitation, declared that 98% of our DNA is junk, referring to it as junk DNA. But how can a program succeed if 98% is written wrongly? How is that possible? That part of our genetic code which creates us is made up of 98% of glitter. Garyaev is certain 98% of DNA is holographic, a dynamic, pulsating liquid crystal hologram that operates on the laser properties of DNA. It holds all organism texts and plans in different colors and with sound. And genetics, like a thinking biocomputer, is capable of reading, listening to, and seeing itself, and starts the needed programs for protein and substance synthesis. In other words, prior to generating something like a fingernail on a hand or an eye, our biocomputer initially builds it as a virtual model, and only then adds the necessary proteins to it. And experiments with plants back this up. You've heard of the Kirlian effect. If you heard, please plus. Here, it fits perfectly. If from leaf, like birches, if you cut off half, then when stimulating this object with an electromagnetic field ranging from 10 to 100 kilohertz, or with the help of instruments, one can observe it, the portion that has been cut off, as a hologram. This is the Kirlian effect. It was first noted in 1901 by Belarusian researcher Yakov Narkevich Yodko. Then in Semyon Kirlian, a Soviet scientist, patented the method. Basically, this is often known as the aura of a biological entity. The aura of a biological entity is simply the electromagnetic signals we emit, each one of us. Just because we are creatures that exist due to the electromagnetic energy that flows inside us. If this is so, we can affect the body and ask it to generate a new project. For example, a lost hand. Garyaev claims it is possible. And it can be achieved through light and words. To traditional biology, this sounds utterly incredible, illogical, and impossible. But such cases have indeed occurred, and not just one, which is no longer a wonder or just a precedent, but statistical data that keeps repeating. For example, American geneticist Luther Burbank used all selection methods to try to remove the spines from a cactus, but he failed. Then he lost hope and started to converse with the cactus, to persuade it to remove the spines, saying that there is no danger, everything is fine, just think about it. After that, new generations of the cactus grew without spines, so it seems the cactus heard him today. This cactus is still smooth today. This species is eaten. Or another example, researchers who were familiar with Garyaev. With Soviet botanist Sergei Maslobrod in charge, they worked with plants. They mentally envisioned the shape of the plant leaves, their sizes and colors. Ultimately, they truly achieved the plant they envisioned. In traditional genetics, this is unexplainable. In its paradigm, changes in the genotype can arise either from random mutations or through direct intervention in DNA. However, in wave genetics, this process is quite feasible. When we talk about waves and their interactions, words are a wave as well, so at the quantum level, the organism's program can be perceived and influenced. Moreover, data can be conveyed over distances through the shared electromagnetic field that wraps around our planet. Garyaev's conclusions were not just theoretical. Building on his work, the scientist invented a DNA laser, a machine that works on photon polarization. To comprehend this, we should explain what spin is. A photon rotates around its axis continuously, like a tiny spinning top. It spins either clockwise or counterclockwise, the spin direction, and that is spin. Do you recall the popular spinners? The word shares the same root, thus a photon always has a pair. It could be in the adjacent room to the photon, or it could be flying somewhere in the Cassiopeia constellation. The paired photon also rotates and certainly spins the other way. So, if the particle we observe spins clockwise, its pair, which it must have, will spin counterclockwise. And this is where the most interesting. If we alter the spin direction of one photon, the other will instantly begin to spin the opposite way. And this happens right away. This is how Garyaev's apparatus functions, capturing genetic wave information on photon spins and sending it right away. If this was hard to follow, just hang on. Everything will be explained. But I believe you are accustomed to us first explaining how things truly are, and then attempting to break it down for us, regular folks, to ensure it's clear in everyday language. This is exactly how the rats were healed from the tale at the start of our clip. Garyaev programmed the photons associated with their bodies so as to compel the rodents to first create a virtual and subsequently a physical pancreas to take the place of the lost one. And this works not only with rats. There are a huge number of results obtained by him and his team. I want to tell you about them. Another astonishing result. A participant from his team approached Garyaev and asked for help for her mother with diabetes. At that time, he wasn't specializing in this, but he opted to try. During the experiment, a peculiar situation arose. The woman developed significant pain in her jaw. Then it began to swell. Eventually, the pain became intolerable. She visited the dentist and got an X-ray done. Then it was evident that she had sprouted several new teeth under her dentures. The pensioner, who was 60 years old, had only one remaining tooth and a denture. New teeth were pushing through below, and as a result, she suffered from significant pain. Why did this happen? In the course of treatment, Garyaev, utilizing his method, gathered the information. The wave info from her 10-year-old grandson's blood, and then her 10-year-old grandson was actively teething. By the way, the diabetes also went away. What does this mean? It means that by reading the wave information from a healthy organism similar to ours, we might transfer this information to our body if it falls ill, and it will bounce back and regenerate, and it will experience similar processes to those in the organism from which the information was gathered. In essence, it's like duplicating and moving information from one organism to another. This is why when Garyaev assisted in healing people, he always took into account healthy information from organisms that had not undergone those processes, which were not transferable to another body. Moving on. All of this is minor compared to the case of Matthew Cohen. The man suffered a severe accident. For 15 years, he lay due to spinal injury. He had almost complete immobility. Cohen could not eat or drink independently. He was fed through a tube. Of all the motor activity in his body, only slight finger movement in one hand remained. The official medical stance in such cases is clear. It's permanent. So let's be logical people. It really is true. If a person has been lying down for 15 years, they completely atrophy. That's it. And the person definitely won't get up. Additionally, the injury he suffered was not compatible with a complete life. He was meant to lie like this forever. Matthew Cohen's mother approached Garyaev for help. He mentioned he had never attempted this, but he could attempt it. These were the phases during which they explored his method. She contacted him because there were no methods to help someone stand in such a case. However, Petr Garyaev managed to completely heal Matthew Cohen. This case was thoroughly documented. In the end, the man lives a full life. This is not a miracle. He can walk again, live a full life thanks to Garyaev's discovery. Garyaev asserted that through his method, he would soon learn to halt aging. And he aimed for people to live not 70 or 80 years, but 200, 300, 400. And as an initial step toward this, the researchers succeeded in halting the aging of an apple. The sliced fruit did not turn brown, and for a few months it looked as if it had just been plucked from the tree. Furthermore, there were astonishing successes in rejuvenating individuals. Upon hearing about this case, I realized that my fear of growing old could exit this conversation because he performed an experiment with 3 participants, all approximately 70 years old. After a few sessions, they felt significantly better. They sought rejuvenation. It could all be dismissed as self-suggestion, but there was one clear fact. For the women who had long since gone through menopause, menstruation restarted after roughly 35 years. That is to say, this event is fairly objective, and the existence of menstruation proved the success of Garyaev's method. It proves that regeneration of the body is possible, that it is feasible to not only halt aging, it is feasible to roll back the body to its earlier factory settings. Thus, you realize that for a woman to have her cycle restart, a significant number of changes need to happen in her body. The hormonal system works differently. Everything works differently. In this time, since menopause, the body has fully adapted. Thanks to his method, the system has returned to the factory's young settings. This once again proves the effectiveness of the method. Let's take a closer look at what this method is. It's referred to as the matrix. Garyaev took a picture of the patient as a healthy kid. Or even better, the umbilical blood from a close relative, a child, a grandchild. With either the photo or the blood, an energetic imprint of the individual was captured with the special laser we discussed. This imprint was transformed from a wave. An audio track, which was given to the patient. Does that ring a bell? First came thought, then came word. Here, a wave is converted into an audio recording. A wave imprint of the captured energy turned into audio. It was then provided to the patient, so a sound recording of health. After consistent listening, the patient started to rejuvenate, regenerating their body. The film transmitted a program for an ideal state, which triggered a health program in the person. Furthermore, the method presented new exciting prospects for scientists. One day, a person approached him, asking Petr Petrovich to create an energy imprint from a photo of the brilliant Tesla. This amazed me the most. After that, I thought I would order matrices and become a superhuman, a super genius. I would unleash all my super abilities and achieve amazing results. Let me first tell you the story. A man asked to create an imprint from a photo of the genius Tesla to make a matrix for him that he would listen to. Garyaev consented for the experiment since he knew the man. They didn't do this for patients, of course. The man, who had failed at everything his whole life, suddenly became incredibly successful. He began to receive brilliant ideas to the point that Garyaev called him to ask how he was, and the man started suggesting how to adjust his experiments, how to enhance them further. Someone who was entirely inexperienced in this, someone distant from science. After that, the thought crossed my mind, what if we could extract information from a photo of Rockefeller or Buffett and then listen to it? Listen to that matrix? What would occur? I'll tell you, I even reached out to Petr Petrovich's team. They turned me down, as it is unsafe. I see their point, but there were so many hopes, so many dreams. Additionally, an important outcome of quantum wave genetics would be moving away from risky GMO technology. Petr Petrovich labeled GMO foods as Frankenstein's meals. He mentioned that adding foreign proteins to plants, while it gives the desired result to the breeder, has negative effects on consumers. The primary consequence of wave genome theory is human immortality at its core. We must understand that genetics functions on linguistic principles, holography, quantum non-locality, and teleportation. This means that something will persist after we die. We don't disappear, we don't change, Garyaev said. Speaking of which, regarding our previous video on immortality, Garyaev understood well that his discovery has not only a bright side. After all, with his quantum laser, one can not only restore lost organs, but also command for their destruction. Thus, when the COVID pandemic began Petr Petrovich sounded the alarm. In the symptoms of a deadly disease that appeared out of nowhere, Garyaev directly stated that someone is using technologies that allow individuals are infected by quantum replicas of the virus. Garyaev thought the infection came from emitters, similar to his own instrument. He directly claimed to know what COVID is, its nature, and how to treat it. I personally know a story where, at a table with a group of scientists, he mentioned he understands what COVID is and understands how to fight it. I even know this case firsthand, and the person who told me about it verified that just a week later, after his statement, he was gone. That is, Petr Petrovich passed away. The scientist's death did not make an impression on the general public, of course, but everyone who knew who he was, everyone who truly understood what he was doing, were quite shocked. For the general public, 79 is indeed a respectable age. However, those who knew Garyaev did not believe that, since Petr Petrovich was not only working on innovative treatments, it would be unusual if he didn't actively use his own inventions, including the advanced ones he had not yet shown to anyone. For many years, Petr Petrovich treated himself with his own device. He was assessed by a rehabilitation doctor from the Military Medical Academy, candidate of medical sciences, Sergei Fomchenkov. The results astonished the doctor. According to his estimates, Petr Petrovich's biological age was 32 to 33 years. At nearly 80, Garyaev could run for 3 hours without stopping, swim 6 kilometers non-stop, and could swim 100 meters in 1 minute and 10 seconds. Can you do that? If you can, Write in the comments. If you can't, write that too. I can't. Moreover, only 3 years before he died, Garyaev had his 6th child. Isn't that a clear sign that the body's resources were far from exhausted? Thus, Garyaev's supporters have ample reason to think he was killed. Furthermore, he was likely killed by his own tools via quantum virus transfer or remote targeting of organs. While he lived, Petr Petrovich was a problem for many. It's no wonder his group was constantly expelled from all institutions and ordered to shut down, to disband. He himself spoke about this. For example, who was he a threat to? Pharmaceutical giants, producers of GMOs, of course, the toxic classes, who don't want people living long free from disease and hunger. There is one more vital piece of information. This will end here and will truly shock you. Everything we've discussed today might seem like magic, just a coincidence, just a precedent. But in the year of his death, not long before Garyaev was nominated for the Nobel Prize in Medicine, he was supposed to receive it in 2021, and many experts believe he would have almost certainly become its recipient. The Nobel Prize would have raised his and his researchers' status significantly. His discovery could no longer be dismissed by citing supposed inconsistencies with scientific data. And the world would have been talking about quantum genetics then. From this perspective, Garyaev died rather conveniently. Moreover, if you look up Wikipedia and enter Garyaev's surname, we will see that he was engaged in pseudoscience, a man nominated for the Nobel Prize. Isn't that great? It seems our duty today is to ensure that with Petr Petrovich's passing, his discoveries live on. At least I strive to these goals. This is why we are filming this video. After all, he truly helped me understand the nature of the human body more deeply, to grasp the nature of brain programming, why this is indeed possible, beyond all the data I had. And now, as I encounter the issue of not being able to register the name brain programming with the government, well, it's not about the state, believe me. It's not about the authorities. When I simply can't go and register my method called brain programming. Do you understand? It's not possible, and I totally get it, from my own case, from my own skin. At the time when we have 2,000 subjects involved in a scientific social experiment that yielded results. We can't do that. We can register. We are registering. We register under a different working title, less noticeable. I clearly understand now, having dived into it, why he was not permitted to promote anything. And overall, his discoveries continued in my methodology as well. I integrated his research, his insights into what our genome is and what our body is, and in my own work. When I program the brain, when I create methods for brain programming, I also depend on what he used. And I think this has generated an amazing synergy that gives fast results. If you genuinely want to find something truly deep, working not in a way where you depend on a technique that may or may not succeed, but in a way that utilizes your body's resources. You can turn on the hidden resources of your body. When you create such a powerful internal support by influencing your brain, your psyche, your body, you can extract anything you desire. And it's not solely about health, though I have healed numerous chronic ailments because of it. I never encourage that. I call for us to utilize all these tools, not merely to discuss these magical hidden subjects, but to genuinely discover practical applications in our lives, in our daily human issues. Wealth, relationships, joy, something extremely valuable. For this, something very secretive, something truly effective, and scientifically validated. You will find it in the link in the description. There, you can also complete a self-assessment test to gauge your level of awareness. In this way, you'll grasp which level of consciousness to build in order to achieve the life level you want. And that's it for now. I will include a link to a video about the brain here. It is also very much related to what we talked about today. While you wait for our next episode, subscribe and be sure to send this to someone so you can discuss it later. Create your own environment in general. And while you wait for our next episode, watch the video about the brain. Until next time.